As a preliminary matter, this is Woody Knight, Chair of the Newbury Planning Board. Permit me to confirm all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Planning Board members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Peter Pecos. I see Pete. Larry? Scott Kenta?
Affirmative.
And thank you, everyone. And Steve Manjay may be joining us. Town staff, Kristen Grubbs, Planning
Here.
Director.
Yes,
Sadie Woodward, Assistant Planner.
she's not able to join tonight.
Okay, great. Good evening. May 20th, 2026, open meeting of the Newbury Planning Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, which extends the Governor's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A20, until June 30th, 2027. For this meeting, the Newbury Planning Board is convening by video conference via Zoom, as posted on the Planning Board's agenda, which can be found on the town's website. You may join us by going to http://zoom.us and entering meeting ID number 832-714-1356. And the passcode is 108790. Or by calling in 1929-205-6099 US and entering meeting ID number and passcode when prompted. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that attendees are participating by video and or telephone conference. The meeting is also being broadcast live through local access cable channel 9 on Zoom and at newburytv.wixsite.com/TNCTV. And the recording will also be available on the Newbury Access YouTube channel. Meeting business ground rules. Before we turn to the first item on the agenda, please permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. As chair, I'll introduce each speaker on the agenda. After speakers conclude their remarks, I'll go down the list of board members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. For all attendees, please remember to mute your audio when you are not speaking. On Zoom, use the mute button. On your phone, if you call in, use *6 to toggle to mute and also to unmute. There will be an opportunity for public comment and questions during the public hearing. I'll see questions and comments from members of the public through the Zoom raise hand function. Video conference participants, to raise your hand, hover over the bottom of the Zoom window below the photo gallery and click on image of the hand that appears. Please ensure your name is fully and correctly displayed on the participant list. Telephone participants, to raise your hand in a Zoom meeting, hit *9 on your telephone keypad. Each participant will be called on to provide his or her name and address. They may ask a question or make their comment. Please do your best to keep your comments or questions to 3 minutes or less. Your hand will be lowered when you have been given the floor for your questions or comments. I'll afford the applicant and or their representative the opportunity to reply. Should there be a written submittal of questions or concerns, they will be noted for the record. The applicant will be afforded the opportunity to speak if the issues raised have not yet been addressed. And finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. So there's the preamble. First item on the agenda is we have planning board meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the planning board meeting minutes for May 5th, 2026?
Yes, I have.
Seeing some nods. Very good. Do we have any corrections or comments on the minutes for May 5th, 26?
I do, Woody. On
Okay.
the fourth paragraph, the second sentence, this is relating to the zoning amendments at town meeting. It recites that there was no public questions from town meeting attendees nor any discussion. My memory is there was actually a question and a brief discussion about dark sky compliance. So I would
Yeah.
suggest that we just delete that sentence from the proposed minutes.
Okay, I see Kristen nodding, so she took note of that. Very good. Yeah, they wanted to know if it would eliminate the floodlight their neighbor had. So
Right.
I do recall that. All right, thank you, Larry. And anything else, Larry?
No,
All right. So as amended, I would entertain a motion to approve May 5th, 2026 meeting minutes as amended.
Sure.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you, Pete. Thank you, Larry. Roll call vote, Peter Pecos,
Yes, sir.
Larry Murphy,
Yes.
Scott Kinter,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Now we have meeting minutes for May 6th, 2026. Are there any comments or corrections? Has everyone had a chance to review?
I've read it and it looks fine to me.
All right, great. That being said, if no one else has any corrections or comments, I'd entertain a motion to approve the May 5th, 2026 meeting minutes as drafted.
So move.
Thank you, Larry.
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Roll call vote, Pete Pecos.
I shall be abstaining. I was not present.
Oh, very good. Larry Murphy,
Yes.
Scott Kinter,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. So there's the meeting minutes out of the way. Next item on the agenda is liaison and meeting reports. Up first is ZBA. That would be you, Larry. Do you have any reports?
Just briefly, Woody, their ZBA is meeting tomorrow night for their regular meeting of the month. There are two items on the agenda. One is a special permit for 129 Northern Boulevard to increase the footprint and height. That is going to be continued because apparently there was a problem with notification, so that won't go forward. And there's a continued public hearing for a special permit for 15 Sunset Drive. The applicant it wants to take down the existing home and construct a new single-family dwelling. And that's had some interest in the neighborhood, so there might be some discussion on that. But that's it.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Next is Conservation Commission. That would be me. Conservation met last night. There was a number of items on the agenda. A few of the public hearings were continued. 34 Central Street was on there last, and it was a lengthy discussion. It concluded with closing the public hearing, and the discussion was based on approval of the exit road through the wetland, and it went back and forth, and there was a lot of discussion about process and the fact that there is an option one, which was the two-way single entrance that we did not vote on in our planning board process. So they closed the public hearing, and we did not vote whether to accept or deny the exit road. We will be meeting in 2 weeks, and that is when the vote will take place. So that's all I have for conservation. Next is MVPC, Kristen.
The commissioners meeting is tomorrow, and I have invited your colleague Steve Manchin to listen in as the incoming alternate commissioner. He was interested in just tuning in, even though it isn't officially fiscal year 27 yet. And hopefully he will be available to do that. And that's about it. We haven't had the MVPC planners meeting has not happened this month.
Okay, very good. We have a couple minutes here. And I actually just checked the participants list. I don't see anyone on tonight for public hearing from the public. So we'll just wait till 7:15. And if there is someone and I missed you on the participants list, they will be continuing, so. Yep. I got 7:13, so we got about a minute and a half there. Anyone know any good jokes? Anyone done anything exciting lately?
No, but Woody, I'll just do a personal privilege if I could. I appreciate you trying to steward the process through conservation, and I understand what the Conservation Commission's marching orders are, and I just hope that they can align to the efforts that we had put forth in our decision with 34 Central. But that's just my 2 cents on that. So, because we had a minute.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, Pete. And I could have gotten into more detail, but the meeting's on YouTube if anyone wants to watch it. And we didn't vote last night, so I don't want to speculate what's going to happen. But I would like to see that be approved, but we'll see what happens. And it is a process, so. $7:15. All right, we have a public hearing for definitive subdivision application 15 Central Street, assessors map U11 lot 53 for a 2-lot subdivision. Applicant owner Michael Becker, 15 Central Street, Byfield LLC. The applicant has requested a continuance, and the continuance is to June 3rd, 2026. So I would entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for 15 Central Street, assessors map U11 lot 53, Michael Becker, 15 Central LLC, Byfield, to June 3rd, 2026.
A quick question before, do we have anything else on that night, agenda-wise, Kristen?
There are no public hearings.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
So I assume that would be at 7:15 via Zoom.
Oh, yes, at
7:15 p.m.
7:15 p.m. via Zoom. Thank you, Eric.
Then I would make that motion.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Roll call vote, Peter Pecos,
Yes, sir.
Larry Murphy,
Yes.
Scott Kinter,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. So we'll be seeing 15 Central Street on June 3rd at 7:15 via Zoom. And that almost concludes our agenda. The only thing else I see on here is our plans report from Kristen. So the floor is yours, Kristen.
All right, I got a few things, but I won't be too long. Let's see. A couple things related to upcoming meetings. The select board is meeting on next Tuesday, day after Memorial Day. Town offices are closed Monday for Memorial Day, which is the 25th, and the select board meets on the 26th. And I haven't, I'm not sure if they've posted the agenda yet, but my understanding is the request by some of the neighbors on Church Street to have the town consider closing Church Street is on the agenda on Tuesday. And I think I've mentioned, but the town administrator requested any comments from department directors on that request. So we did, Sadie and I did on behalf of planning director submit comments about the discussion we've had about the different concepts that MVPC presented for that intersection, and discussed that the planning board's preference is concept one, which is squaring off the intersection. I know the select board also received some comments from DPW and from police, both of which I understand were not in favor of closing the street off, basically due to safety reasons. And DPW also brought up the challenges that would result with snow plowing. If the street was closed off at that end, it would be pretty challenging to figure out where to store the snow. So when I see that agenda, I'll share it around in case any of you are interested. They did have on their agenda the request from the owner of 65 Hanover Street to discuss with the town the tying in to the water and sewer on Hanover Street. Newbury Elementary School, which abuts 65 Hanover Street, is tied into the Newburyport sewer, and the developer, who has not filed anything yet with the town, is anticipating it would be his preference to tie in to the town. So town council has sort of reviewed how that request would be made, and he has submitted that request to the select board, who is authorized to make a decision on whether that's approvable or not. So that was on the agenda for this next Tuesday, but my understanding is they've just continued that to June 9th. So I will keep the board aware of what's going on with that request. Let's see, a couple other upcoming meetings on June 4th and June 5th, and this has been going out on the town's social media, so you may have seen it, but there's a project that's being led by Salisbury. It was a recipient of a grant from CZM for a coastal resiliency project that's looking at beach sediment transport. And so Salisbury requested that Newbury and Newburyport be partners in that project. So I have not been the point person on this. Mason Farrick has, for the conservation agent, as he's mostly, the Conservation Commission is mostly tied into the beach management responsibilities of the town of Newbury. So there's a public meeting about that project, presenting the findings that the consultant has done, looking at the flow of sand in both Salisbury Beach and also Plum Island. There's also a component of the public meeting that is interactive, asking people to sort of explore and share how they use the beach, what their challenges are, what the future looks like in terms of climate impacts to the beach. So it's a little bit of a beach management discussion, although it's not technically, Newbury isn't in the middle of updating their beach management plan. Although that is, my understanding from Mason is that is something that's in the future. So this discussion is sort of a precursor to some of the discussions and conversations about how Newbury engages with residents and, takes care of the natural resource of the barrier beach itself. So anyway, there are two meetings. One is June 4th, Thursday evening at 5:00, and that's being held in Salisbury at the Blue Ocean. And then the other meeting is a daytime meeting at Peta Hall. It's the same meeting, so choose one, go at night in Salisbury or during the day on Plum Island. It'll be the same presentation, the same discussion. And the Peta Hall meeting is Friday, June 5th at 10 a.m. Anyone questions about that? Or okay. Just a couple other things that are going on. There was an interesting presentation webinar about the fact that the state's ADU legislation just, February was when that went into effect in 2025. So there's been an assessment of how the accessory dwelling unit sort of initiative has been going across Massachusetts. There's a report and there'll be a link to a video, and I'll definitely share that. It was pretty interesting. There have been across the state, there have been 1,200 permits among all the towns for new ADUs in the first year. So, I think people were pretty excited about that. That said, I think the number is something like 22,000 ADUs need to be built by 2035 in order to answer the state's housing crisis. So there's just sort of a discussion of this has been a successful initiative by the state, but still lots of sort of questions about what the process actually is for homeowners and how to continue to support the building of smaller dwelling units to meet the housing crisis that we're in. So that was interesting. Amy Dane.
Just to add on that, Kristen, this all started in California, and for the first 2 years, it was very, very slow, like crawling slow, because this legislation passed, and it just got kind of thrown into these municipalities and towns and cities and into the planning departments and the building departments, and they all had to just deal with this inundation, just massive, just plan dump, an application dump, and they couldn't handle it. And it lasted about, I would say, even up to 30 months before that logjam eventually started to, free up. And now it's a very, very, very quick moving process. Like it could be, a week to 2 weeks, 30 days if you've got a few on a multifamily type of community. And it is a massive onslaught of housing that is actually not just out there in Never Land. It's actually becoming real, and it's getting executed. So good stuff. But again, this is still fairly new. Probably, what are we, about a year in now? Yeah. So if we're always a little faster than California, but I would suspect another year has to go by before people get really familiar with it, and then after that, you could possibly see, or we could see, or zoning could see, 30 to 40 applications, over the course of a year, which is a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just talking Newbury.
Yeah, the conversation, part of the conversation was, even though this is statewide legislation that each town, like the town wasn't required to change its local bylaw the way we were for the MBTA zoning. If we did nothing, there was still a pathway based on the state's legislation by right to build ADUs. But the reality is every town with home rule, we do have our own zoning. So there was, a big burden, responsibility on each local town to update its bylaw to match the legislation. That's one thing. And then secondly, just in terms of production, every town has different other rules, right? Building height, setbacks, Title V. Some towns have local wetlands bylaws, coastal zone, different changes. So in order, like the scaling up of the building of ADUs, every single town, every single property has a different pathway in Massachusetts. And that's not necessarily true in other parts of the country where there's, county-wide regulations and things. So that was a sort of interesting, discussion. But yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. Just sticking on housing for a sec, I just want to remind the board, we do have a technical assistance project that it will hopefully be kicking off in June that I'll share more once I have more information from Merrimack Valley Planning Commission. But to look at the 40Y legislation, which is the starter home overlay district zoning opportunity that towns have. So Newbury signed on to a regional project to get some technical assistance to work with us. So I think I'll want to talk with you all about, like, do we want to form a subcommittee? Do we want to invite, maybe some of you are interested in doing some work offline between public meetings, and maybe there are other folks in town who are interested in this. Essentially, it's looking at, a deeper dive into what 40Y is. And I will say I haven't done that yet myself, other than to know that the idea is smaller lot sizes that would result in smaller single family dwellings. It's not a multifamily initiative. It's for single family. And then it's an overlay zoning tool. So thinking about, are there places in our town that, parcels or neighborhoods that would be suitable for a starter home district with these different characteristics to what kind of housing can be built and what size lot. So I think what I've talked to Ian Burns at MVPC about is sort of kicking off in June and then working through the summer and the fall to think about, there's no obligation to bring new zoning to town meeting a year from now, but if we have this discussion and, we can talk about having public meetings outside of the planning board, regular meetings as well. It could be something that they would assist us with crafting the zoning bylaw to bring to town meeting next year. So,
Kristen, would that be as of right or special permit or
it's not as of right, but I think, I don't know, Larry, because it's an overlay district. So if parcels in that district had a pathway similar to the MBTA zoning, maybe it would be a site plan review, but it's not, there would still be a planning board review process. But I don't actually know if it's special permit or sort of more of a subdivision. I have a lot to learn about it, and I'll start getting that information out to you all probably in the next couple weeks. Let's see. I wanted to announce a couple, just quickly, sorry, are we 7:30? I am attending a economic development training academy. This was recommended by the town administrator. I think the select board is trying to think about new ways that Newbury can think about economic development. So there's a workshop that is being run by Mass Econ and UMass Lowell, aimed at helping cities and towns further develop their economic development efforts. It's a professional development opportunity, bringing together professionals across sectors, business leaders, Chamber of Commerce, community volunteers, planners, professionals, run out of UMass Lowell as well. So that's actually on June 4th and 5th as well. I'll let you know. I've suggested if any of the select board members are interested, to join me. And if any of you are interested, you're welcome as well. I don't know much about it, but I'm interested to learn about it. And then finally, just a couple trail announcements. We very excited to announce we have received a $10,000 grant from the Coastal Trails Coalition, which is a nonprofit supporting trails in the region. And they are really interested in helping Newbury move our Border to Boston regional trail work along. So this grant is specifically to support the title work, the legal title review that's necessary for the Georgetown to Byfield project. So this is just the Byfield to the border of Georgetown parcels need to get going into legal review by town council. And this is great because this will kickstart that work. And then the next phase, once we get to 75% design plans for that segment of the trail, and then we have the right of way and the title work going, hopefully we'll speed along towards construction. So I'll keep you posted. And the Board of Boston Trail Committee is continues to be active and partnering with the regional Essex Heritage Group as well. Their next meeting, if any of you is interested, we're meeting next Thursday at noon, 12 noon. There's a meeting of the Board of Boston Committee, Newbury's committee, but we've invited the sort of leader of the regional Board of Boston initiative to come meet with us here in Newbury. And he is also trying to think of ways to support the small towns to sort of expedite the work. I think there's some discussion about a sort of part-time project manager type position that could work with like Boxford and Georgetown and Topsfield and Newbury and just kind of help us because it's a big, these projects have a lot of administrative responsibility and it's just hard to find the time. So that's exciting. And I thank you to, if anyone is involved in the Coastal Trails Coalition. That was a really exciting grant that we received. And I think, well, I guess just one more thing. I've been having conversations with Byfield Water District. The state in their Community One Stop Grant program has a lot of support for communities who are facing infrastructure needs that are resulting from housing projects, in particular the MBTA, but any sort of anything related to infrastructure, roads, sidewalks, utilities in particular. So Byfield Water District, you may recall when we were having conversations with on the 34 Central project, there's some upgrades that are recommended to be done outside of the project area that 34 Central is responsible for in their permit, but that would assure better connections between the work that's going to be done for 34 Central and the rest of the water main under Central Street. So I've been talking with the director of Byfield Water District. I think their board had a meeting last night, and I'm following up with Tracy and the select board. And there's some grant funds that are available to towns. And then the idea would be partnership with Byfield Water District to bring in some additional support for those upgrades. It's sort of been triggered by the 34 Central project, but they're upgrades that are in support of the entire system here in Byfield. And as we're looking, for future growth and thinking about other places, to build more housing or have, more ADUs or small scale subdivisions, whatever it is, I think it makes a lot of sense that the town is proactive about that and supporting, our water infrastructure. So I'm learning a lot more about that, but I also think it's sort of in the master planning realm of thinking about future growth, that I think it's important that the town, sort of partner proactively with Byfield Water District, as well as our other water suppliers. you all, I'm sure know, but we have Byfield Water District, and then we have private wells, and then we have parts of town that are tied into the Newburyport water system. So, we have a complicated, it's not like some towns that just have one, water utility that's just managed by the municipality. We have these, different partnerships with our abutting communities and organizations. So it's just something, water's a pretty important thing to think about as we're thinking about future growth. So trying to elevate some of those conversations. That's it. That's all I got, Woody.
That's a lot, and it's a great job. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Good stuff. All right, if anyone else has anything to say it now.
Woody, I do know that I see Tom Rogers has logged in, and I think he might have joined right after we made the announcement about the 15 Central public hearing.
Okay, Tom Rogers, can you hear us? Yep, we received a last-minute request from the applicant, Michael Becker, for 15 Central to continue to June 3rd via Zoom at 7:15. All right, so sorry, I didn't see you on there. I would have let you know. You're on mute too, so we can't hear you, sir.
Yeah, I had some technical difficulties getting on the Zoom. I don't know, but I'm here, and I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Yep, very good. And yeah, you must have been logged in after I made the announcement at 7:15. So
Yeah.
we'll see you on the 3rd, Tom. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
You too.
All right. Anyone has anything else? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn so we can go out and catch sunset.
So moved.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Do I have a second?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Pete. Roll call vote. Pete,
Yes.
Larry, Scott, and yes as well. Everyone have a good night, and thank you for everything, Kristen. And we'll see you on June 3rd.